The FIFA World Cup qualifiers are back for the October international break, and there's a few nations who are ever so close to securing a spot at next year's tournament. The first round of African qualifiers are coming to an end, and we are in for some dramatic football in these final two games, while the fourth round of Asian qualifiers will be wrapping up on the other side of the world. In this video, we will be taking a look at the 8 nations who have the best chance at securing direct qualification to the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the next international window, and the opponents they'll be facing in arguably the most important matches of the year. 18 countries have secured their spot at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, so let's take a look at who will be joining them in North America next year. The first nation that we need to talk about is Egypt, who are just 1 point away from securing their spot at their 4th ever World Cup tournament. The North African side have been dominating their competition in Group A, coming away with 6 wins and 2 draws from their first 8 games, putting up an impressive plus 14 goal differential along the way. Their next match is on October 8th against Djibouti, who currently sit at the bottom of Group A with just 1 point from their first 8 matches. This game will end in a very dominant victory for Egypt, and as long as they maintain a 4-point gap between themselves and Burkina Faso, they will earn direct qualification to next year's tournament. It will be great to see Egypt back at the World Cup for the first time since 2018, and they will be a very interesting team to follow at next year's tournament. Moving on to the biggest underdogs in the African qualifiers and one of the craziest stories of the year, Cape Verde are on the verge of qualifying for their first ever World Cup tournament. The African nation have been lighting up Group D with their impressive performances, putting up 6 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss so far, with a plus 5 goal differential and 19 points on the board. They will need to win at least one of their next 2 games, and while they may struggle against Libya on the road, they will more than likely come away with a win against last placed Eswatini in their final match. If Cape Verde qualify for next year's World Cup, they will be the second smallest nation in terms of population to have ever made it to the competition, and it would be a historic moment for both the country and its large diaspora. I'm genuinely hoping that Cape Verde can qualify for next year's World Cup, as it would easily become one of the most intriguing storylines to follow next summer in North America. Another country that is ever so close to qualifying is Ivory Coast, who are looking to make it to their 4th ever World Cup and their first since 2014. The Elephants of Africa have been dominating their opponents in Group F, coming away with 6 wins and 2 draws from their first 8 matches, scoring 15 goals and keeping a clean sheet in every match so far. They only have a 1-point lead over second place Gabon at the moment, but with a match against a pointless Seychelles side on October 10th and another match against 5th place Kenya on October 13th, they can easily come away with 2 wins and maximum points from these games. Ivory Coast have proven to us all that they are one of the strongest sides in Africa, and they could genuinely make it out of the qualifiers without conceding a single goal. The race for top spot in Group F will be one of the main headlines in the African qualifiers this week, but Ivory Coast have more than enough firepower to get the job done, and they will earn a place at next year's World Cup in convincing fashion. The final African nation on this list is Algeria, who are just a few games away from qualifying for their 5th ever World Cup. The North African side have been dominating proceedings in Group G, coming away with 6 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss in their first 8 matches, with a plus 12 goal differential and 19 points on the board. They should be able to qualify with a win over last place Somalia in their next match on October 9th, and if they somehow lose that game, they will have a chance to redeem themselves on home soil against Uganda on October 14th. Algeria have scored 19 goals so far, the second most out of all the teams in the African qualifiers, and their offensive firepower could be the determining factor that sends them to the World Cup. They should be able to wrap up Group G with 2 dominant victories, and they could be a dark horse at next year's tournament if they maintain their momentum. Moving over to the other side of the world for the Asian qualifiers, Qatar will be hosting all 3 matches in Group A, and that home field advantage will be enough to send them to their 2nd ever World Cup tournament. The Qatari side had a pretty rough time in the 3rd round of Asian qualifiers, coming away with just 4 wins, 1 draw, and 5 losses in their 10 games, putting up a -7 goal differential and 13 points on the board. They will be playing their first game against Oman on October 8th, followed by the closing match in Group A against the United Arab Emirates on October 14th. It's not exactly fair that these matches are being held in Qatar and not at the neutral venue, but if they can come away with 2 good performances in these games, it'll be enough to send them to the World Cup. This could be the only chance that Qatar get to qualify for another World Cup for a very long time, and they will be looking to redeem themselves after their horrendous showing back in 2014. 2022. The final direct qualification spot from Asia will be going to Saudi Arabia, who are looking to qualify for their 7th World Cup tournament. Saudi Arabia had a tough time in Group C in the third round of qualifiers, coming away with just 3 wins, 4 draw and 3 losses in a group that was dominated by Japan and Australia, who they failed to beat both home and away. But now in the 4th round of qualifiers, they will be going up against Iraq and Indonesia, and they will be playing those matches in Jeddah, which gives them a huge advantage over their opponents. Saudi Arabia haven't been playing the most exciting nor the most impressive football in the AFC qualifiers, but with the expanded format for next year's tournament, they should be able to grab the final direct qualification spot from Asia. It would take a generational collapse in order to prevent Saudi Arabia from qualifying for the World Cup, and they should be able to grab 2 easy wins while playing in front of their home crowd. The next country on this list is England, and while the European qualifiers are far from over, the Three Lions are ever so close to qualifying for their 17th World Cup tournament. England have won all 5 of their matches in Group K so far, scoring 13 goals along the way and keeping a clean sheet in every single game so far. They should be able to come away with a convincing win over Latvia on October 14th, and if Serbia drop points in their matches against Albania or Andorra, they will be the first European team to qualify for next year's competition. Nothing is set in stone just yet, but if England can qualify with 2 games left to play, they can experiment with the lineup in order to increase their chances of making a deep run next year. England's dominant run in the European qualifiers will see them be rewarded with a spot at the World Cup, and maybe, just maybe, it could be coming home next year. The final nation that will definitely qualify in the October international break is Jamaica, who are looking to make it to their 2nd ever World Cup tournament. The Reggae Boys won all 4 of their matches in the 2nd round of qualifiers, and they currently sit at the top of Group B with 6 points from their first 2 wins. If Jamaica win their next 2 matches against Curaçao and Bermuda, and if Curaçao and Trinidad and Tobago draw level in their match on October 14th, then they will secure their spot at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The chances of all of these things happening may not be as high as I'd like to believe, but I have a strong feeling that Jamaica will be the first team to make it out of the CONCACAF qualifiers. The Reggae Boys are just over a week away from potentially qualifying for next year's competition, and you won't want to miss their next 2 matches. So there you have it. These are my 8 picks for the countries who have the best chance at securing direct qualification to the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the October international break. But which country are you backing to secure an early invitation to next year's World Cup, and which match are you most looking forward to? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football content, tier lists, and everything in between, and as always, I'll catch you next time.